Schultz. So, we have an interesting panel. An advisory board for Cincino. They are pioneers in their fields. They're among the smartest of the smartest. They make sure we have the new science. They make sure we have the best ingredients. They are the pillars of stone to lean on when the wind blows hard, when we need questions, and so on. So, I'd like to introduce the first one. Dr. Angela Rizzo, she's an expert in biochemistry about fatty acids. You know what? She was among those who developed the blood spot test. How cool is that? She's a professor of biochemistry in Milan. She's done numerous publications on science, and she studied a lot of things. And this is quite cool. Vitamin D and omega-3 for childhood diabetes. Omega-3 as a therapy for inflammatory bowel diseases. Omega-3 stabilizing ADHD. And what I just learned, nutrition and space biology. Biology concerned with the effects of outer space on living organisms. Wow. This is quite cool. Welcome on stage, Dr. Angela Rizzo. The next person you met so many times is also a pioneer in his field, Dr. Paul Clayton. And you know, he studied all the things. He made numerous books and publications in various journals of medicine and so on. And he is the chief scientific researcher within Cincino. And he makes sure every time we meet that we have the best of the best and the newest of the newest, to have the most beneficial ingredients. Welcome on stage, Paul. Dr. Rita Nielsen Maxley. She's got a master's degree in clinical nutrition from New York. Then she's got a PhD, which means she's got a doctor's title in food science from the Norwegian University. She is the research and development manager at Cincino. Her office is at Faun, but she works for Cincino. Please welcome Rita. Last but not least, you know him since before, Mr. Ola Ede. He has a long career as a research and development manager for multi-million companies. He's the chairman of the board of the Norwegian Nordic and Food Research Program, but we all know him best as one of the founders of Bioactive Foods, and there the balance oil was developed. Actually, he is the reason why we all are here. Please welcome Ola. Obviously, there is something I need to ask first. Space and biology and nutrition. Angela, give us the insights.
Oops, Mike.
Microphone is not on. Paul? Oh, not you. Sorry about that. Use this one.
Okay, when you go to space, it's like very fast aging, you know? And people there have radiation and microgravity. And you know, I just came back from a space conference And what NASA and ESA are planning to give them to eat with food as supplements are omega-3 and polyphenols. This is a demonstration of what is very important for men and women when they are aging to support the health of the people.
So you need omega-3 and polyphenols when you go to space?
Yes.
So I'm ready then, because I'm already taking the product.
Okay, so you can become an astronaut very soon.
Paul, you heard something about this, of course? Or is it totally new to you? Might be?
No. I have a communication with State Senator Bill Nelson, who's the representative for Florida. And he's the only member of the U.S. government who's actually been into space. So he has ties with NASA, and I communicate with him, and one of the things that he and I and NASA are very interested in is how to combat the effects of zero gravity, which accelerates the aging process because it downregulates, amongst other things, the AMPK and mTOR axis, which Angela knows all about, which is why when astronauts go into space under zero gravity, they spend many hours working with springs and rubber bands to mimic the effects of gravity on the body. We've now found a herbal extract, which comes from South Korea and India, which has exactly the same effect on the body. This is exercise in a capsule. Some of you have heard of me talk about this before. It upregulates Cestrin 2, and you know exactly what that means. So that means instead of spending 4 hours every day doing isometric exercises, you take one pill. For me, that's one of the most interesting research areas at the moment.
First customer.
So this is quite cool. So actually, with our product, we can make people being balanced, and we can also prepare them for outer space. So,
but we can also make them fit, even while they sit watching television.
This is so fascinating. But I also like to ask you, Ola. Now, you're not working full-time anymore. You are among those who thinks life is better in Spain and so on. And it is. So, what do you spend your time with keeping up with the science?
Well, thank you. Yes, I will be 67 in 6 months from now, which is the official retire age in Norway. So, and I use 6 months of my time in Spain every year, and 6 more months in Norway. So the way I keep myself updated within science is very simple, because I'm part of a network in science with university professors and other scientists that regularly update me on what's going on in the literature. And Angela and Paul, they have been actually helping me for the last 10 years. And for those of you who don't know this, but Angela was the one that came to Norway, from Italy to Norway with the test. But I must admit, I want to say this, I must admit that I'm not that passionate about this thing as Paul is. As you know, Paul is on 24/7. I'm not. I have a hard time to update myself when I have my 6 months in Spain. But I have my 3 months in the winter time in Norway, and that's when I do it.
So Ola, we've talked over the years about being in balance. We are so happy. I'm also in good balance since many years, and you reached the score of 100 every time and so on. But that's not always 100% protection from things happening to you.
No, it's just an estimation of how the balance between your diet and your genetics are. But the genetics can vary a lot. So yes. What I want to say in this respect is that, as I said, I'm becoming 67 soon. And almost every person I meet at my age, they are on some kind of medication now. Some kind of diet and lifestyle related medication. They are on cholesterol lowering, they are on blood thinning, they are on blood pressure lowering, they are on allergy reducing agent, they are on asthma agent, they are on the antidepressant agents. So this is really what I see in my generation among my people, what is happening. So that is why I wanted to tell you one thing, because I'm very pro that you should start to balance people from the young ones, to try to avoid this medical trap. And actually, I want you to start balancing the young ones before they're born, and even the mothers before they become pregnant. That's where you should start and have your focus. And to steal some more time, I know that in Finland they have a competition going, and that is to produce sincere balanced babies. And that is a very good start. And I know that Hilda and Örjan and Linda and Alan also has started to do the same. So please do. Welcome all of you.
Paul, if I will turn to you then, if you look a few years ahead, you can choose the timeline yourself, what it would be the next revolution, apart from space?
I think that one area of innovation which is potentially very interesting to me is the development of third and fourth generation implantable sensor chips, which would allow you to take almost constant readouts of things like cysteine, HSCRP, autotaxin, a whole range of molecules which we know are important in determining whether or not you're moving towards disease or not. So the analogy would be, I would compare that to the modern automobile, which is built in with many sensors which are telling you information all the time. We don't have a problem yet, but we're going to have a problem unless you have service or unless you get this fixed or that fixed. The idea of a self-monitoring and then potentially self-repairing or modulating system where we can maintain our health without working too hard day to day. What would that mean in terms of our health and life expectancy? Well, nobody knows because we've never even tried this before, but there's some evidence derived from preclinical models and some from Blue Zone data that suggests if we were to do that, we could extend our healthy middle life into our 90s and even beyond. Our middle life, where old age would be, it's impossible to say. These horizons are all malleable. Everything you think is normal about human experience, none of it is normal. All of it is potentially modifiable.
Cool. Angela, if we're thinking about omega-3 and polyphenols, would you see some kind of small revolution happening in the next coming years? Anything special you think, apart from space?
Yes, I think diabetes is one of the worst diseases that our children are experiencing right now. More the children in Europe with type 1 diabetes. And this is a kind of inflammatory autoimmune disease that is very difficult to manage for the children, for the parents, and the treatment in utero may be with low inflammatory diet, omega-3 and polyphenols can help to lower the disease rate that is becoming a very huge amount of children born with this disease. So this will be, I hope, the future.
Ola, if we ask the same question to you, what do you think the nearest years?
Yeah, my focus, then I will talk about my focus at the moment, and that is on dry blood spot metabolomics. And what is that? That is, you could say, the next generation bioactive foods. Because you collect samples in the same way as you do today in the blood, but you analyze it differently. Instead of analyzing 11 fixed fatty acids, you analyze maybe 1,000 compounds. And then you use clever mathematics to scale down into the one that describe a certain or characterize a disease situation. And an example there will be to characterize if a cardiovascular disease is stable or unstable. If it's stable, you can have a good life for many years, like my father had for 40 years. But if it's unstable, you have to run to the doctor as fast as you can, as my mother did. So this runs in my family, and the question mark for me is, of course, who am I?
And the good thing to know is that a few of us been to Vita's laboratory a few times. We've seen the robotics they have. We've discussed with them what kind of biomarkers they can look at and so on. And the audience doesn't know it, but they are prepared. They can analyze most of the things we are thinking about, talking about. It's just a question about when. That's cool. So, Rita, if I turn to you, and we close down the scenario to maybe 1 year, you are spending your time looking at the ingredients, changing, discussing with Paul, discussing with the product group, what shall we do, how can we perfect it? Seems like a never-ending story, so it must be quite boring.
I don't think boring is the right word. It can be frustrating, never-ending. That's also what makes it fun. There's always new ingredients that we can use. And in fact, in all of our products, there's a total of 85 different ingredients, which means 85 possible improvements. So it's not boring, it's just fun.
I was just teasing.
Yeah.
So if you are thinking about the coming year, if you would single out one change that's going to happen on the existing product, what would be in your world the most interesting thing, and what would it mean for the Zinzino partners and customers?
I think one change that is already launching today is the relaunch of AquaX. I'm not sure if you've heard much about it, but it's a huge upgrade from our previous versions.
It is.
And when we made AquaX a year ago, and you added a spoon to the water, the oil would go to the top within 15-30 seconds. When you try the new AquaX, you can see this 1 spoon of oil is dispersed in the oil for minutes. It's a huge upgrade.
Yeah.
I think we should all give them an applause for that.
When using the AquaX and it's going down, mixed with the water and becomes these small particles, anything happening with the absorption in your body, or is it similar, or what would you guess?
No, for most people, you're not actually changing the absorption rate. Most people are actually capable of absorbing oils and fats very effectively, 99%. I mean, there are teleological reasons for that. If we couldn't absorb fat, if we couldn't use the calories in fat, we probably wouldn't have survived as a species. So we're very good at doing that. Some people have problems, particularly if there is issue with the gallbladder or the bile duct, and they can't emulsify fats and oils. Then they have a problem with fat uptake, and for them, this is the solution.
Brilliant. I've tried it. I like it a lot. So Angela, turning back to you, childhood diabetes. That must be very hard for a small child to get diabetes. There are lots of parents out here.
Yes.
Any special advice thinking about them?
Yes, test your child with our test, Zinzino test, and with glycemia as soon as you can. Don't wait to the disease to show up. It will be too late sometimes. We are doing a big study together with the Diabetes Center of Miami. In the first phase of diabetes in children, you can supply them a high dose of omega-3, high dose of vitamin D, and prolong the phase that is called honeymoon, in which they don't have to take insulin for a long period. So, if I would have a little child, I would have tested glycemia before the disease show up.
Excellent. So, I have a question for Rita, also thinking about the future. If you, in your mind, could come up with any product, anyhow, in your dreams, what would that do for Zinzino?
I think we already discussed small children and the elderly, and I would like, or would love to have products tailored towards those groups. They have different nutrient needs, difficulty to swallow maybe, different taste buds. So to have a specific product for kids and a specific product for elderly would be great. So we just need more customers to grow those two groups.
That's fantastic. So the plan was to show you who we are, who they are, what they are thinking about, what they are doing, making sure that some insights about the future, and when I look at it, I feel quite comfortable about the coming years. There will be things happening. I hope you feel the same. I'd like to thank you all for coming and sharing some moments of your life and what you're thinking. Thank you very much.